So today I've been doing a crap ton of document rewritings and formattings and mergings and adding a bunch of stuff, adding an Easter egg, so a whole bunch of stuff with my documents. Also got to drive a lot in some heavy rain. Let's make sure that's cool. Drove to Lowe's, drove to Home Depot, drove to coffee shop, drove to chiropractor. Pretty crazy storm earlier. Tropical storm, it was fun. Different Band-Aid for my pinky injury, which you can see on my channel. It's a short I made. Yeah, overall pretty midday, but just a crap ton of doc reformations. Yesterday I just redid the thoughts document. Today I'm redoing a bunch of things. Reformatting documents. I merged 3 things into one and updated it, but then made an archive for the 3 things in case they wanted to be seen. A whole bunch of stuff. So, I've been really struggling to word this in a concise way, but today I realized that there are kind of 3 things you need to know to get through life, and I made a video on this: knowledge, thought, and self-control. And I'm trying to make a sort of command book of what to do. I've already made the video on how to live life, and I made the video on what you need to live life, but I wish there was some concise, accurate way I could merge the 2, and that is what I'm going to be attempting now. So, I guess do we start, like, and make it chronological, like what you do in order? I don't think so, because there's some things you would do at the same time, not necessarily one after another. And some things share priorities, too, so... Was that a Discord notification on my phone? I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm not sure. I guess... Okay, let me just turn my ringer off real quick. There we go. So, yeah, I don't know. It's really difficult to word. So it's not about priorities, and it's not about an order of things. I guess it's just a list of commands of what to do. But, you know, they're kind of separate. Like, one's how to plan your whole life. One's how to apply logic to stuff. So, do not know how to word it. It is a tough thing to think about. I'm not sure. So, overall, the basis is I have a priority system where there's things of priority, like God, sin and self-stability, benefiting those that accept it, and then bliss. But there's kind of other things in between, like, you know, you have to improve yourself, cut out flaws, but how much you improve yourself depends on, you know, how much you want to get better. And if you want to truly think and have knowledge, then you kind of got to prioritize that over the benefiting others. So it's kind of a jumble of things, but I do suppose there are certain commands which, if not applied in order, just in general, do apply. So, first of all, strive for knowledge. Even if you had the dedication and the will to do something right, if you don't know how to do it, you can't do it. I have said this before, and it's quite important. It is one thing some people forget when they think, like, okay, I'm going to be a better person, or I'm going to stop being, you know, logical, but they don't actually have the mindset to do that, or they have a really bad logic system with terrible morals. What is it? Terrible morals? That's hard to say. Terrible morals. And then they end up being a bad person. So yes, have a good logic set, which just means really knowing right from wrong correctly, and be intelligent, have good knowledge. So first, knowledge. Second, have self-control. As I said before, if you don't have self-control, you can't control yourself. So if you had no self-control, you couldn't choose to think, you couldn't choose to have the willpower, determination, you couldn't choose to improve yourself or learn anything, so you need self-control. And if you have high amounts of self-control, which you should strive for, which is another one of those commands, you can control your emotions, and especially when sadness is getting to you, you can override it and either use logic to get out of it or simply stop being sad. I did notice that when I was going through my thoughts and reformatting all of them. An older writing said to use logic to get out of it. Then I just said use self-control to get out of it. And then I realized you kind of use both at the same time. You should still, because you should always think logically. So you should never be in a state where you're not thinking. So you should use logic to get out of it regardless, but then have the self-control to be able to do that, unless it is completely involuntary and it's overriding your entire control. So knowledge, self-control, think. Thinking is a big thing. I've said this so many times before. It is like in every single document. I have multiple videos saying it, some videos just only on it. Thought. Put simply, use your brain. And you can't really use your brain if you don't know how to do it and you don't know what's right and wrong. That's where the knowledge part comes in, and knowing right from wrong. But then if you're able to control yourself and think with correct knowledge, then you can get through anything pretty much, unless you're being like oppressed or suppressed, you know? So even if you have will, but people are holding a gunpoint, telling you what to do, obviously, you know, knowledge and willpower won't really get through that one. So those are the main things to get through life. Have knowledge, have self-control, think as often as possible. And then after that, I suppose it's like what you do when you're not prioritizing that, which would be cut out flaws. If you have any flaws, you may be like disregarding them, thinking, okay, so if I just learn things and I control myself and I think often, then I will be fine. But no, many people have flaws. I did. In fact, I've written about this. I believe there's 2 stages to life, one ignorant, one accountable, where you realize, hey, bad things are bad. It's a very obvious statement, and it does not need to be said, but unfortunately, many people forget it. In fact, I did too. And put simply, the way I realized, hey, I need to fix my flaws, is I just went, why am I treating these things that are flaws, which are bad, as character traits? Just parts of me. That's stupid. I should fix my flaws because bad things are bad. You should not want to be bad. You should not want to do bad things. And many people just write these things off as who they are, like, or quirks, even worse. But no, bad things are bad. Don't do bad things. Don't think bad things. Don't be a bad person. So, yes, have knowledge, have self-control, always think, cut out your flaws. And after that, once you've done all that, I guess that's where you could apply the whole priority system, you know, core beliefs, self-stability, all that stuff. So I do suppose you could just add on cutting flaws out. That's a pretty important thing. So yeah, basically, just always improve, be the best you can be, and that'll involve all of those things. It's kind of funny because it's like a loop of everything. By trying to be the best you can be, you will naturally learn more things and have better self-control and think more often and cut out your flaws. By trying to cut out your flaws, if a flaw is having no knowledge, you'll gain knowledge. If you don't have self-control, you'll get self-control, etc. If you think more often, you'll realize bad things are bad and you'll want to have more knowledge because you'll be thinking more often, and you'll realize self-control is a vital thing. If you have more self-control, that doesn't really do anything. You can control yourself, but that won't really increase your knowledge or thought or anything. But yeah, most of them, doing any of them, if you think very often, or if you strive to cut out your flaws, or if you have a lot of knowledge and accept the knowledge as fact, that knowledge being bad things are bad, or if you simply try to improve yourself in general, then you'll end up doing the rest, because it's logical. Logic is a word I love. By trying to be a logical person, simply making sense, you're going to do all those things. Having self-control makes sense. Thinking a lot makes sense. Having knowledge makes sense. Not having flaws makes sense. By just trying to do what makes sense, you are naturally going to fix every aspect of your life. Now, I have said this before, flawless and perfect are not the same. Flawless means there is no noticeable flaw. For example, a sheet of paper, perfectly white, no injuries, not slightly wet, not tampered with, on a clean surface. It's flawless, but it can be torn. So is it a perfect paper? Ink can go through it, so that's not a good trade of paper, so it's not perfect. A perfect paper would be impossible. Nothing can truly be perfect aside from, that guy up there. Actually, those guys, technically 3 guys who are all 1 guy, but you know what I mean. So yeah, you can't really be perfect, but many people just stop at flaws. They go, okay, what are my flaws? Let's see, I do this and I do that. Ooh, I should really fix that. And they fix those things and go, good to go. Well, now hold on. Are you the best you can be? My document Being Me, which I have transferred into the archive I previously mentioned, that talked about that a lot. The big primary focus of that document was improving yourself and others. By improving yourself, you'll improve others and inspire other people to be better. Essentially, it told you to think often, because thought is kind of the basis of everything. It literally is. I've said it many times, but I Think Therefore I Am by Rene Descartes makes sense. Thought is how we are humans. Thinking is how we process things, whether it's subconscious or conscious. So thought is very, very important. Why did I say that? Such differing or deviating from the accent. I said important. Anyways, thought is so important. Yes, thought. Think. Gotta love it. Thinking. People need to think more. That is actually the flaw. That is why most people are unintelligent. Sorry, most is a generalization. That is why every unintelligent person is unintelligent. They don't think. Whether they choose not to or not, they just get through life ignorantly. Either they don't realize they should think, or they don't care, they're too lazy to, etc., etc. They just don't think. And it's that simple. So always think. That is what I would love everyone to do. If everyone constantly thought, they would all be improving and the world would magically get better. But sadly, you're going to have to do all the thinking for those people, because they will not do it. Like I said before, they're like vacuum tube computers. Information in, response. There is no deep thought, there is no consideration, there is no knowledge, there is no storage or memory, there's just in, out. It's that fast. There's no in, let's think about this. It's just, boop, gone. And then those people die faster, those people make bad decisions, and then somehow those people get into powers like being the President of the United States of America. Now, as I've said before as well, I'm saying many things I've said before, but that's because they're all logical. There's kind of two types of bad people. Those who are stupid, want bad things, and they just don't know how to get them because they're stupid and they're greedy and lazy and just want pleasure. And then people who do want bad things and are literally evil and know how to get those things, like most politicians or businessmen. They know what they want. They know they're going to do evil practices, like Monsanto, and they know how to do it because they are intelligent but evil. Although most people simply, just want to be happy all the time. I want joy. I don't want to put effort in. I want to have a 14-inch screen on my car. I want to go on my phone while I'm driving. They just want careless joy, which involves no thought at all. No thought. So, think. And having self-control, that just really applies to controlling yourself. Because, if you don't have self-control, no matter how often you think and how smart you are, if your emotions can override that, then you're basically useless, because in any situation where thinking would be useful, you don't have control over whether or not you end up thinking or going into a mental breakdown. So, self-control is vital. So is thinking and, being logical. And having a good logic system, I keep saying that is really just meaning morals and, well, knowledge is a part of it. Knowledge and logic system, they're kind of separate, but kind of one, too. Two meaning TOO as well. They're kind of one as well. Because knowledge is like how to treat people. How should I deal with people? If you don't know how to do that, then no matter how much determination you have to be nice and to do things properly, and no matter how much thinking and active thought you're applying to it, if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how. You could be the most determined person in the entire world to take someone down with a sword. You can get into a duel, say, I will slay you with a sword no matter what. I will take my entire life for this. I will constantly be thinking about how to do this. But if you aren't a swordsman, then you can't do it. You won't beat the man who's trained. So you do need knowledge. But then also you need the logic system, because you could be very intelligent. You can often think. But if your priority is your own bliss over putting others first, who, are innocent or just deserve it, then you're selfish. So some people's morals are a little jacked up. Some people, how they process things and what they think matters, pretty evil and bad. So have a good logic system as well. And then just be logical. Think, be logical. And then following this, that's the flawless aspect. But then the perfection aspect, that's where you start getting into a lot more things. That's what my thoughts document tells you about how to do a lot more things, like how to debate properly, how to deal with people, how to understand things better. It really gets into everything, be more efficient, I actually gotten rid of a lot of the writings on efficiency and accuracy and why they're so good. They are in the archives, though. Being me talked a lot about it. But yes, being accurate is a vital thing, and in my thoughts recently, I've been kind of just combining a lot of them and boiling them down. The more and more I try to make them concise, I try to shrink and say, okay, instead of having this massive document, I'll just tell them to do this point. This baseline will solve the problem. And everything comes down to thought. If you just think correctly, that you'll be more accurate. If you legitimately strive to be a better person and to do the best you can possibly do, then you will end up being everything else, but only if you know how to, which is where the knowledge part comes in. So you have to know how to do it, and you have to want to do it, and you have to be able to do it. That is the self-control part. So you have to want to, be able to, well, and be able to is also knowledge, I suppose. Know how to, be able to, and want to, and then you will do it. Be better. Be better. Oh, goodness. And of course, I'm not disregarding any happiness, of course. One part of the priority chart was bliss. That was the last part of it. But, I'm just walking around here. No problem with me eating a couple of chips because I'm not benefiting other people. I'm not changing the world. I'm not striving for financial stability. I'm not devoting my life to God in that very moment, even though, He should be first in my thoughts. So I can just have some joy. It's good. It's no problem with that. Unless there's harm to it, or there's no reason to do it, then, it doesn't give you joy, then don't do it, of course. Oh, that's a statement that doesn't really apply accurately. That can be worded badly. So yes, I made my thought document to really apply to the perfection aspect of it. Being flawless is as simple as logically thinking. That is kind of the basis of everything. That's how you be flawless. It is so simple. But then how to improve beyond that, there is so much more. You just have to keep improving, keep gaining knowledge, learning things. My thoughts document, which if I'm not lazy, then I will put in the description of this video, is really that knowledge section of it is meant to inform you on many, many things that are very useful. And the principles document I have as well, that one kind of guides you to being flawless. And obviously, no one can be truly flawless or truly perfect. That's pretty obvious. I shouldn't have to say that. But you should strive for it. So, yeah. Always try to be the best you can possibly be. Always improve, be logical, have self-control, have correct morals. Always improve yourself, cut out your flaws, know right from wrong, learn things consistently. I'm saying redundant things, but it should hopefully get to you because you should always be better and cut out your flaws and improve yourself and be logical and always think very often. Always think in what you do with logic and correct morals and knowledge correctly and do everything ready and improve yourself and cut out your flaws and always think. God bless you. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, adios amigos and amigas.